your vacation?
What led me? Well, definitely when I looked, of course, God, and through different ways. One way through my parents, my late parents, my mum and dad. My mum, especially through her prayerfulness and her strong faith, and my dad through his strong faith and also his witness of helping people, especially in need. When any in our community where there was a loss, a bereavement, he'd be there to help them. When he knew people were sick or in need, he'd go and help. And even though he had a young family, 7 children, comes from 7 children, he'd still go and make time to help people. So that, to me, that was like God giving me an example of how to live my life. And both mum and dad very close to the priests and the sisters, helping them in their work, whether the Maronite priests or even the Latin Rite priests at our local Latin Rite parishes. And the other thing, through the liturgy, through the Mass, a lot of times are feeling touched by God and they're being called by God in that way. So, one particular one that stands out, because there was after I left school in the first year of study, I had a really big question. I didn't know. I felt God was calling me to the priesthood, but I wasn't sure. And I asked him to give me a sign. And during one of the masses, it was a weekday mass, during one of the masses, I was the second last to go to communion, and I said, I trusted God. I said, if you want me to be a priest, you'll show me. And when I went up to communion, the priest actually gave me the half of the host that belongs to the priest, not just the normal little host that he would give to everyone. For some reason, he didn't know what was on my mind. He gave me the other half that he had, that the priest had. And to me, that was one of the biggest signs of God saying, yes, I want you to be a priest. So different things like that, the example of people and God touching me in the liturgy and the prayer, and very special signs like that along the way.
Did you travel anywhere for any particular training? Or
say that again?
did you travel anywhere for any particular training?
For the priesthood? Yeah. I did 5 years of training here in Sydney. Then after that, the bishop of the time, he wanted me to go to Lebanon to train in the seminary. He wanted me to originally go for 2 years. So I did 5 years here, and I was supposed to do 2 years in Lebanon. And I did 8 months in Lebanon. I actually wanted to stay for the whole 2 years, but he was worried because there was a lot of fighting at the time in Lebanon with the war. And he was just a little bit worried because it had come a lot into the Christian area. And just to be responsible, he thought I'd learnt enough Arabic and I'd learnt enough there that he thought it's better to come back so that he could ordain me to begin serving as a priest. So mainly Lebanon, that 8 months. Yeah.
What motivated you becoming a Muslim?
A Monsignor, a priest, to become a priest. As I said to you, I felt being drawn by God. And especially I felt God calling me to help people, So when I was young, I felt it was the priesthood, that was the way. When I got into high school around your age, I started to get more interested in politics, social work and teaching. So when I left school, I chose to do a Bachelor of Arts. So I thought that would lead, I could do politics. I did politics at university. Sydney University, I did psychology, I did history and philosophy. So it meant wherever I wanted to go, that gives me something. But halfway through the year, I felt a big emptiness. I thought, even as it's wonderful to be a teacher, it's very good, but I thought there was just something more that God was calling me to do. And even in politics, I thought that was very good, but there was something more, and it was something to be very dedicated to what gives the deepest meaning, and that was on the faith side, and that meant to be called to become a priest. So I thought I'm called to become a priest in that way. Yeah.
So what is the most challenging obstacle that you as a priest have overcome?
What's the most challenging obstacle? I would have to say at one stage of not being married, of living, celibacy, living alone. And that was a challenge because when you're studying in seminary and you're not facing pressure of working with people and giving it a very, you're studying and you have time for prayer, and it's easier, even though study's hard, it's easier than when then you have to start to work with people and you've got pressure, you know. So that was sort of hard where not having that someone close. So I had to learn to let my faith grow deeper in Christ, to let my relationship with him be the number one relationship. And as I developed and grew in that, it made it easier. That's how I overcome that obstacle. And two, I used to think, I didn't realise, I used to feel like underneath, like a little bit of resentment, like I used to think it's unfair. Why can't priests be married? You know, why can't, you know? And I used to think sometimes married people, it's easy for them. So I used to think, why does it have to be so hard? Until I more and more listened to married people, helping them, and to know to be married, not always easy. They've got hardships too, you know. To be dedicated to one partner, to give it, that's a challenge, that's hard. Nothing, so when I realised no way of life is easy, and in every way of life, we need God's grace. So when I opened more to God's grace and had a closer relationship with Christ, that helped me come through that obstacle. Yeah.
Has your culture affected your vocation?
As my culture. In some ways, yes. In a good way. The community culture, the strong family values that are part of our culture, that is also part of our faith, but because it's also a very strong part of our culture and how we lived in village groups, you know, back in Lebanon, and we have a strong sense of our village and extended family clan, that's a positive for our faith. Because it meant when we come to church, we know each other. People feel a sense of belonging, because you've got family belonging as well as our faith belonging. So that was a good thing. A negative about that is sometimes when we're upset with our family, we're going to keep away from our church, you know, which is not very good. You know what I mean? So there's strong positives of that. And where people, and negatives sometimes that we can lose, we don't appreciate that wonderful gift that we have, the gift of family and community. And our faith is very much tied up very strongly with our culture. So there's a very strong connection with our identity, our faith, being Maronite, being Lebanese. There's a strong connection with our faith.
Do you have any standout experiences you've had in your business on your journey?
On the journey, standout experiences, I would say in retreats that we do every year as priests, we have to do at least a 6-day retreat. And even when we're studying in the priesthood, we have 8-day retreats, silent retreats, no talking, just you and God, or you could talk to the priest who is directing the retreat. I would say they would be, during those retreats, prayerful moments of feeling touched by God and feeling God speaking to me to give me a direction in my life. They would be the most powerful experiences in retreat. I did a long retreat after 10 years as a priest. There was, as I was telling some of the students, in my first year, studying to be a priest, my mother died. My mum died from cancer. And I found that very hard. And it took me about 10 years, if not longer, to feel God really healing me with that loss. And in one of the retreats that I did, I felt very strong touch of God healing me with that loss. So that was very powerful. And then different experiences leading after then 13 years ago. So my mum passed away when I was 19, 30 years ago now, or more than 30 years ago. And my dad passed away 14 years ago. So with my dad's passing, it was a different experience in that I felt God helping us. We spent time with God, and we were my dad, and we were older, and we felt a lot of grace, a lot of God's grace through my dad's prayerfulness. When he was passing away the last 3 days, we were always around him, and he was leading us to pray. We were thinking of all the wonderful memories we have, and he said things like, I'm going from one heaven to another heaven. So he left us with great hope and a great witness of faith. So after he died, I felt his life, and I also felt a great strength, a great sense of God's grace. And in some of the retreats that I did for the youth, and some of my ministry and weddings and masses after that, I really felt a great strength of God's grace, and I believe that was through my dad's prayers, that his prayers, the power of his prayer was with me, helping me in my priesthood. So they're wonderful, they're things that I remember very strongly, are those touches of God through my mum and dad, their prayers and what I experienced that helped me. And then the other thing is seeing where God has touched people's lives through my ministry. That where I've seen people change, young men like yourselves, and a bit older, young ladies, and people in marriage, when I've seen how maybe they've been on the wrong track, and through some way that how through God, through my ministry, God has touched them, not as me as a person, but how let God be, I've let myself be an instrument of God, and how that's changed their lives. And to see how God's worked in that way, someone that could have been going to a very bad way, and and how through something, even I might not have intended to know how to do it, that God has touched them and changed their lives. It might be through a mass I've celebrated, through a homily, or through a time when they came and spoke to me. I let myself be an instrument of God's word, God's grace, and change in there. That's been something great that's motivated me to always stay faithful to my ministry and to grow.
Father, what do you as a religious person find mostly rewarding?
What I find mostly rewarding, I would say at the moment what I'm finding very rewarding when I see parents and families very close, married couples, when I see the wonderful where Christian committed and committed out of love, and really parents who are doing so much for their children and that. So when I see that a good family together and parents showing great example and having a good relationship with their children, and children have a great relationship with their parents, and I see that and they're involved in the church, and you see how that washes off on other families, So that's one of the things that really I really feel touched by and inspired with at the moment. Yeah.